The ongoing feud between President Trump and Andrew Cuomo is not getting any better. President Trump warning he could cut federal funding to Democrat-run cities that have seen months of rising violence and unrest. And that includes New York City, Washington, D.C., Seattle, and Portland. New York Governor Cuomo responding by appearing to threaten the president. Watch this.
Look, the best thing he did for New York City was leave. Good riddance. Let him go to Florida. Be careful not to get COVID. COVID ambushed New York due to Trump's negligence. He is the cause of COVID in New York. Changed his residence to go to Florida. Why? He can't come back to New York. He can't. He's going to walk down the street in New York. Forget bodyguards. He better have an army if he thinks he's going to walk down the street in New York. No, New Yorkers don't want to have anything to do with him, and he knows it.
I much prefer the feud between Cuomo and de Blasio, and actually that might get us somewhere. Kennedy, we have you back, and you are a New Yorker as well. Your thoughts about this feud?
He's just trying to sound like a tough guy, and all he's doing is CYA, because Cuomo really screwed up in terms of COVID. All you have to do is look at the 11,000 patients who died in nursing homes when he forced them to take sick patients. And it was a conflagration, and it was completely inhumane. He hasn't accepted responsibility for that, and it was a totally heartless move. So what he's trying to do is deflect. It's the same thing that Ted Wheeler does and Kate Brown in Oregon. They're just trying to blame the president in order to skirt accountability, because as long as you're doing that, you don't have to actually do anything. And I challenge them that the presidency is clearly way too powerful of a position. And that is the result of years and years of abdication on the part of Congress. So if one person is that powerful and can kill so many people, then something is gravely wrong with our political system.
Jessica, what about you? You also live in New York, and you've seen, what's unfolding there. I mean, what do you think should happen? And some of these cities, they have been run by Democrats for years. Does the president have a point?
I'm not sure he has a point insofar as saying that he's going to start withdrawing funds from these cities. But he certainly does when he says that Andrew Cuomo is responsible for the 11,000 deaths that Kennedy pointed out there. And our own Janice Dean lost both of her in-laws. Her husband's parents both died in nursing homes. And those outcomes could have been avoided in New York and New Jersey. Phil Murphy had the same policy. They just ended up losing less lives there. Gone are the days of Andrew Cuomo, who's thanking the president for the ventilators, remember that? Or for saving, sending the ship that we were going to have tons of COVID patients on, and no one ever stepped on board. I think that there needs to be a lowering of the temperature. We have to be realistic about what's going on, and there can be productive discussions about, local, state, and federal officials about how we can get kids back to school safely. We're already seeing colleges having to send people home. So that's my top concern. Less ego, more fixing it.
Greg, do you think that Cuomo and de Blasio just really want people like Trump and others to leave and go to Florida or elsewhere?
Well, they need the people they hate for the tax base. So it's short term, it must feel great. But then again, it's also like rich white liberals who are leaving too. The kind of the best people a socialist would want. They're fleeing as well. So anybody with money is getting out of town. I will congratulate Cuomo on his honesty about how unsafe the New York streets are. He just admitted it. And I think murders are up 51% over past August. So I think that should get Cuomo on board for indoor dining, just to protect citizens from the stray bullets. But I think, to your point, if I had, after the downtown looting, said to Bill de Blasio, you better have an army if you come down here because I'm pissed, I would probably be arrested because that would be considered a threat. I just hope that Chris and his brother do a nice little comedy routine tonight on CNN when they discuss this, and instead of a giant Q-tip, they can have, how about a torch to help lead the mob when Trump shows up? Those tough guys.
Viva la revolution. Revolution, I guess I should say. Jesse, what do you think about saying that the president would need an army to come and visit New York. He kind of actually does have an army in the Secret Service.
Yeah, the Democratic Party
Yes.
is now officially the party of violence and threats. It started when they firebombed a limousine at inauguration, and they haven't looked back since. De Niro says he wants to punch Trump out. Biden says he wants to punch him out. Loretta Lynch says she wants to see blood in the streets. Eric Holder said kick him. You have Antifa pulling people out of trucks, kicking them in the head, shooting them in the head. A Bernie bro shot Steve Scalise. They're swarming and attacking Trump supporters while they're leaving speeches. They're doxing you. They're surrounding your house. I mean, has anybody been paying attention to what's been said by the celebrities? Madonna wants to blow up the White House. Johnny Depp and Snoop Dogg talk about assassinating the president. We're just going to pretend like that didn't happen? I mean, the guy has been under fire constantly, and then the left says he's the one fanning the flames. And then they ignore all the video that shows them fanning said flames. What they've done is they've said he's a white supremacist, he's Hitler, and that justifies all the destructive action that they've taken. But I think it's going to blow up in their face November 3rd. And by the way, I caught Greg calling for another call for in someone else's block. I'm watching.
You keep a track over there in your little pod. All right.